I'm doing a similar thing with my grade 9 class here. Slightly more onerous on the kids where they're creating their own portfolios, and we started in November, sort of like the learning journey from then till now. And it's the language, they're using the language as if it's just fluent now. They're not even looking at me funny. They remind me when I don't wear my timer when I teach. They interchangeably get up. I brought a stair stepper that we had in our basement and put it on the side. They interchangeably go on it without even asking anymore. I have movement breaks halfway through the class because that's what they said they needed. They said that 80 minutes was too long to sit. And we have regular chairs. We just sit in, and they said that was too long. So halfway through at 40 minutes, we take 5 minutes and we do a movement break. They do push-up contests. They do planks. They do the exercising with the bands. It's really happened very quickly. If you can think of less than 6 months I've had this, and they're documenting this, and they know their goal going into grade 10 next year, this is a group of grade 9s, is to be able to tell their next teachers, know how they learn best. And I kind of argue, I've had a couple parents say to me, well, is this not enabling our kids that when they go off to a situation that isn't as accommodating and doesn't have all these beautiful things, or are they going to be able to do it then? And I say, well, yes, they will, because we've taught them. They understand how to regulate themselves, and if they can't sit for 2 hours in a chair, they will know themselves well enough to stand up and go to the back of the room, or to stretch, or to do everything that they know about themselves because we have taught them here. They'll be better in university because we've prepared them to learn and know how they learn best. I think it really is the missing link.
My husband is a university professor, and it is quite alarming. I often go into his classes just to do some little assessments, and so I go to his 4th year university classes and his graduate classes, and I ask metacognitive questions, and I say, I'm sorry to pick on you, Chris, I say, Chris, we're learning about the circulation system. How would you learn that best? And very few of his students can tell me how they learn best. That is alarming, and so we need to be moving in this direction. So with this age of technology, we can pretty much look up anything we want. We can pretty much learn any content we want. And so what we're looking at is more of the strategy approach. How can we teach Chris how to learn rather than what? And so that is a huge shift out in 21st century research in terms of more of these competencies and how do we look at using Chris's brain rather than filling it with content. And so that is another critical point to this, is as can these children, students, articulate what works for them and what doesn't work for them, and that would be another very critical point.
And be able to know, I'm not in a calm and learning state right now. I'm going to take 5 minutes in the hall before I walk in because I can feel that I'm not ready to learn. For them to recognize that in themselves is massive success. And not some can do that and some do it really well. It's not saying that this is everybody. Some actually come into the school completely knowing how to regulate, but a lot don't. So this is just giving them the tools and saying, this is how you are going to carry yourself throughout your whole life. It's not just school, it's everywhere.
But the problem is in real life, not the problem, but so what would be nice is as these kids evolve and go on, they're going to educate employers too, right? But I'm just thinking today, I went into my job today, I had nowhere to sit, there was 6 people talking, in another room there was 10 people talking, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm supposed to write this huge report. It took me almost 45 minutes to find a place to sit and find a computer and write a report. So it's just, I hear what those parents are saying in the real world, that we're not there.
But this culture of kids will come up to the workplace and they'll say, this is the way we set things up. But I know what you mean.
Employers are moving towards that already, and they accommodate for childcare, and they, put showers in so employees can take bikes to work or run to work. I mean, they're doing it slowly. It's all changing, but it's not the same as it used to be, I don't think.
I think the employers are also changing in the fact of critical thinking. Like your job is way more than just your job anymore. So they want them to be self-regulated and to think and be calm enough to come out and say, well, how about if instead of doing it this way, we look at doing it this way? And that's where employers are going to shift as well too, when they can actually see bang for buck in that aspect, because if we shift into it this way, it's better.
Like the balls that people sit in at work at their desk now, that's just adult self-regulating. That's just like intervening really late We're trying to do it early. I mean, it's awesome if you do it from K to 7, but you still can have huge success if you start right now. It's not like high school's too late at all.
No, I don't think so.
And you're helping students prepare metacognitively what professions to pick. We often have kids that don't know how they learn. They don't know that they would be better off in certain areas in the world than other areas. And I had a young man helping me today unload some things, and I was so sad when he said, I wish school gave me an A for working with my hands. It broke my heart because he was putting some furniture together for me, and he was the one who knew how to put it together. And I looked at him and I said, buddy, And so I think that we need to celebrate this concept of multiple intelligences and teach kids to celebrate who they are. And literacy and numeracy are certainly critical, but there are many other areas that are critical also. And the other piece to this, we're talking a lot about the physical self-regulation, but the academic self-regulation and teaching kids how to manage time and organize themselves, those are very critical areas that we need to look at in teaching kids how to learn also. So self-regulation covers that's why I fell in love with it, because it covers how to regulate physically, it covers how to regulate emotionally, and it covers how to regulate academically. And so we're looking at that complete medicine wheel concept, where we're looking at the holistic child, and before we used to kind of separate them, and I think that's a very important.
Your pyramid did such a great job of showing how it does layer one upon the next. You can't jump right to academics if they're not regulated physically or emotionally. So like simple things, like there's these arm grabber things. Yeah, Wendy has it. I can get 5 more minutes of them actually processing what I'm saying if they squeeze that. Or the sway bar. They're physically regulating so that they can cognitively take in what I'm saying. So they are all linked, and you really can't do one without the other. They all connect together.
So as a parent then, we don't have to worry whatsoever what's happening in school anyhow?
No, we got it under control.
No, that's fair enough question. What about that? Are we going to find out what they're doing in school? Apparently they don't have any reports.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, nothing's changing in that aspect at all. No, not at this. Nothing's changing.
So we will know how they're faring in school and what they're doing.
Yeah, like with my kids, I report out exactly traditionally how the school has always done. It's just I feel like the reports are a little bit better now because they've learned a little bit more about how to regulate themselves. So instead of focusing on the distractions of the light or not being comfortable in the chair, whatever it was that was distracting from the learning, being able to actually understand themselves is making them better learners. So I've seen academic increases in my kids as a result of introducing this to them. So sorry, go ahead.
So the homework part of it then, it's whatever they feel like doing all in their own.
No, homework is just same as whatever that teacher decides to send home. This is just sort of an additional piece. It's just sort of a better way of setting up for success. Homework and academics and the reporting and all of that piece is absolutely still there.
Like when my daughter does homework, I'm so against gum, but she has gum. She chews gum because that's what she needs. Right?
Yeah, some of them do music.
That's right, and she has a bouncy ball at her thing, and she's allowed to stand up and walk and do her spelling.
Excellent.
Which to me was a little foreign, but that's what she needed, and she taught me she needed. And today, funny enough, she totally dysregulated, and the school called me 3 times to come and get her because she could no longer cope, so I had to go and get her, right? But that child was very clear, saying, this is too loud, I can't do this anymore, I can't tell my class to be quiet. So, just interesting, right? And when I hear this, it's exciting. It's exciting.
It's exciting because it's working for lots, right? So if you see something that might work, that's our goal at the end of the day. We want to see these kids succeed. So if we know of something, the research is saying this is working, why wouldn't we try it to help them get where we want them to be?
But how will individual parents perhaps get that feedback? I think that's what Pierre was maybe getting at. And, Robin's obviously got a good understanding, but for perhaps parents of first-time kids or younger kids, we need to know what the teacher's finding works for them in the classroom so we can perhaps replicate that at home when they're doing it.
Totally. I mean, My parents and I talk weekly most of the time for a lot of my kids. I can only speak on from myself, but open door policy, constantly communicating with the parents because it's a team effort. The kids are our captain and we're just the players, you know? We're just doing our best to get them successful. And I think we're 50% without the parents.
Yeah,
You know what I
for a
mean?
lot of parents that don't actually get to go to school because of work commitments.
Oh, no, not to school. I'm saying I report out. I report the
Yeah,
successes
that
that
would
my
be
kids
nice
are having.
to have that.
And you would hope that as this kind of, you know, it's relatively new in our district and lots of teachers are getting excited about it. We're so lucky to have Brenda, and as administration and everything continues to support it, I think you're going to hear more and more about this. I sincerely believe it's where we're going, and I think that it's just a matter of time before it.
Can I just say two things? Just your comment about homework. Again, what we're looking at is going out of, we're trying to look at adolescents as becoming self-advocates. Report cards, again, I'm not saying that they don't tell students how they learn. They are a system of accountability, and you as a parent can see that I can have 5 students in front of me and they all have the same grade for all different reasons. And so what we're looking at, again, is we want Bob to be able to articulate why he got a B in reading and what does he need to do differently next time to do it better. And so that's the metacognition piece. And so we are trying to move parents out. I'm not saying that it's not right. We are trying to have children, the students, be the ownership of their learning so that students can articulate, I'm Bob Brooks, this is how I learn, because we do not want parents always to be the co-regulator. The concept of self-regulation is that students know themselves how they learn and how can I change my learning myself. And so I have 4 children. And my children have been educated in 4 provinces, and we need to move toward more of a self-regulation approach where children can articulate how they learn. And it can't be, we can't be as parents be co-regulator when children are in adolescent. That we have to be able to have children articulate what works for them and what doesn't work for them. And so that's where the shift is going, is that strategy approach, and because a B does not tell me how Chris got to a B and what Chris needs to do differently to do something to bring to develop his reading differently. And I hope that's getting across.
I added it to my interim. We interims go out tomorrow. Attendance, work habits, self-regulation strategies. I added it right in because that's what we're doing.
I guess as a mother of a younger child, I'm definitely in the co-regulation
Yes.
stage,
Yes.
so I'd like to have that feedback to me.
Yes.
I certainly agree with you once that he's
Yes.
in high school adolescent that he needs to have
Yes.
that ability, but I guess I'm looking at it, I need the help
Absolutely.
too, to help.
And this would be electronic portfolios that Chris asked us about. That's what we want to be sending home in addition to the expected report cards. So I would like to send your child home with, guess what? This is how I listen, this is how I read, this is how I write, this is how I organize. And so it will be in addition to the report card, and it will definitely be the how of how kids learn rather than just the what.
So the piece that I'm hearing from both of you is that you're asking the students to also do their own reflection
Yes.
and to say how they actually got to where they're at and to be able
Yes.
to loop back over and over again until it works
Yes.
for them.
Instead of the adult coming around. So if Chris is doing his work, a co-regulator comes around and says, Chris, come on, get to work. Right? That's not teaching him anything. Versus teaching him exactly what you just said. How do we teach him to pick a plan? How do we teach him to self-monitor his plan? How do we get him to keep a different plan? That is 21st century learning. And that's what we're trying to move our system toward, that we wean ourselves off him and that he becomes his own learner. So as we're sending our kids off, I can't say for my own 4 kids, if I hadn't been involved with them, that I could be sending them off and they could be, I know that. I've had to teach them how to learn. And so I am very excited that this system and Nanaimo is supporting this because we can confidently say we will send our kids off knowing how to learn in the 21st century.